What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. Join us now as we look at the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including WrestleMania still not sold out, a planned NWO segment cancelled at Mania, WWE cancelling a huge annual Mania match, Shad Gaspard getting the Warrior Award, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Now let's hit the intro and get straight into our first story. Now first, let's look at some WrestleMania updates, as there's plenty of updates to report as fans prepare for next week's showcase of the Immortals. Our first story looks at Mania actually still not even sold out yet. At top of the news today is a report from Dave Meltzer that WrestleMania 38's tickets are still short of a sellout, and it looks like Night 1 is more popular than Night 2, at least in terms of ticket sales. Meltzer noted in this week's Wrestling Observer newsletter that currently there are 60,856 tickets out for Saturday and 58,499 for Sunday. The stadium at press time is set up for 65,268, so that would be a goal right now. The only way they could sell the stadium out either night would be to heavily paper for the last week. Now, although WrestleMania doesn't look to be a sellout at this point, don't feel too bad for WWE, as Meltzer noted, if you go with an estimate of 65,000, which would be 55,000 to 58,000 paid, then you're talking 110,000 to 116,000 tickets sold, even though most are duplicates. That would still be far more ticket revenue and merchandise revenue even if they had done one show and sold out 80,000, which there's no guarantee they would have done. Indeed, Meltzer calculated that the WWE will take in more money from tickets and likely merchandise than any Mania weekend in history. However, based on interest and demand, the idea that Lesnar vs Reigns is even close to the biggest match in WrestleMania history is nowhere near the case from a fan interest perspective. It's interesting that Mania's first night seems to be ahead on ticket sales compared to Night 2, as the Reigns vs Lesnar main event. Without looking too hard at the comparative lack of interest in Sunday's main event, it's important to ask whether ticket sales accurately reflect the fans' interest in the night's matches or are more of a reflection of people attending Saturday rather than Sunday because of work commitments. If Lesnar vs Reigns isn't the must-see match the WWE is counting on, it raises questions about how much longer the WWE can rely on Roman Reigns as the company's headliner, especially if he wins the Unified Championship. What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, a planned NWO segment has been cancelled. It looks like the WWE was planning on running a cross-promotion with WWE 2K22 and the New World Order during WrestleMania's weekend. Fightful Select is reporting that the WWE had wanted to bring in the original members of the Men in Black and White to take advantage of the special NWO edition of WWE 2K22. This would have included Hollywood Hulk Hogan, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and Syxx, aka X-Pac, who joined shortly after the group's formation. Fightful's report mentioned that ahead of Scott Hall's passing, Fightful heard that WWE had planned to bring him in and other members of the NWO to WrestleMania weekend for a promotional spot for their new WWE 2K22 game. Now, it's unknown whether the WWE will feature the surviving members of the NWO, whose 2020 Hall of Fame induction included Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and Sean Waltman. Next up, changes to Kevin Owens and Scott Hall's segment. Now, there's more speculation about the Kevin Owens show segment guest starring Stone Cold Steve Austin at this year's WrestleMania, as Dave Meltzer is reporting the WWE still hasn't figured out whether to end Night 1 with a segment or close it with a match. According to a report in this week's Wrestling Observer newsletter, there were reports this week that the Austin Owens segment would end the show. According to those in WWE, as of midweek, Flair vs Rousey was scheduled to close the show, but it was also noted that match order changes frequently and will continue to change until the day of the show. The only thing locked from the start has been Roman Reigns vs Brock Lesnar closing the Sunday show. Now, Meltzer commented on why the Owens-Austin encounter might be an ideal way of closing WrestleMania's Saturday night portion. It would go against tradition to have a non-match go last, but if you think about it, the Owens-Austin segment probably should go last because it would be the best thing on the show and would be expected to get the best reaction. Putting it in the middle would peak the show early, and putting it next to last would have risked having people leave or heat being down for the Flair vs Rousey match, especially if it's late. Now, it doesn't take a genius to know that Vince McMahon could shake things up more than already imagined, as the WWE Kingpin is known for last-second decisions, and even the WWE's biggest show of the year isn't immune from McMahon's whims. Next up, a surprise match in Jeopardy. There's currently talk that a surprise match may not take place at WrestleMania. Now, we're not talking about the much anticipated bout between the returning Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, but the rumored match between WWE's resident big man Omos and the almighty Bobby Lashley. Dave Meltzer reported on the rumored bout, noting, "There's a caveat. Obviously, Lashley did not undergo major shoulder surgery as feared from his injury suffered in the match with Lesnar at the Royal Rumble, or he wouldn't be ready. However, the injury was serious enough that he hasn't wrestled since and is not cleared at this point. We were told that this match, provided Lashley is cleared. If he's not, then they'd have to have changed plans. The two-time WWE champion is one of the promotion's major assets, and it doesn't make sense for him to risk injury if he does need shoulder surgery. While this is speculation, we wouldn't be surprised if the WWE airs the match and has almost injured Bobby Lashley, setting up a storyline reason for him to take time off and resolve his shoulder injury, assuming Lashley needs additional time to rehabilitate his shoulder or even surgery. If Lashley can compete, this match could be used to start an Omos vs Lashley feud, a program which could test the big man's ability to work singles matches besides squashes. Next up, WWE cancelling the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. This is an event that has been a WrestleMania staple since WrestleMania 30, with the exception of 36 when concerns about the COVID pandemic led to its cancellation. There are varying reports on whether the event will happen this year. Meltzer commented, "The last we heard about the Andre the Giant Men's Battle Royal was a few weeks ago, and at the time it was probably going to take place on the 1st April SmackDown show in Dallas, although there had been a possibility of it being on the 28th March Raw in Pittsburgh. While the Battle Royal has never led to any significant push for its winner, it's been a fun segment as it not only honoured Andre the Giant, who is known for his many Battle Royal matches, but gave WWE superstars a chance to compete at the Showcase of the Immortals who were otherwise not booked." Next up, WWE honouring Shad Gaspard. There's more talk that Shad Gaspard will be honoured at this year's WWE Hall of Fame as the recipient of the Warrior Award. Rumours have been circulating for months that the WWE would induct a former WWE superstar who heroically sacrificed his life so rescue personnel could save his son from a riptide they'd been caught in. The former Crime Time member died in 2020, with fans and wrestlers arguing he deserved to be honoured with the Warrior Award, which recognises individuals who exhibited unwavering strength and perseverance and who live life with the courage and compassion that embodies the indomitable spirit of the Ultimate Warrior. While the WWE has not formally announced that Mr. Gaspard is being honoured, Meltzer has reported that sources in WWE have confirmed it. In all honesty, just change the Warrior Award to the Shad Gaspard Award. I think it means a hell of a lot more then. And finally, Chad Gable losing his name. And last but not least, is the Alpha Academy's leader Chad Gable about to lose his name? As fans know, the WWE's tag team specialist has to deal with the bizarre name change when he was transformed into Shorty G, and now it appears that the Olympic gold medalist Gable Steveson might force Chad to find a new name. During an appearance on the MMA Hour, the WWE prospect commented, "We're gonna have to talk with him being Chad Gable. I mean, I don't know when I'm even gonna talk to him. It could be WrestleMania, it could be somewhere else. I'm just not sure. You can't have two Gables. You can't, but right now we do. So there might have to be a little switcheroo. I don't know, I love Chad too. He's a cool dude." Now hopefully Steveson was just having fun during the interview and WWE isn't adhering to its policy of not having superstars with similar names. Longtime fans will cringe when recalling that WWE had Steven Regal change his name to William Regal to avoid confusing fans with Stone Cold Steve Austin, and having WCW Shane Helms change his name to Gregory Helms because apparently there could only be one Shane in the WWE. Shane O'Mac. Yeah, stupid. How they can't see that we can't differentiate from two people is unreal. But anyway, that was the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know. Be sure to leave your comments down below and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.